Hi guys, this is an instructional video for your practical task associated with your colour theory or remote learning looking at colour. So in this task, you are going to be creating an artwork that looks a little something like this. Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to take you through the step-by-steps of how you create an artwork that has that effect. So before we get started, I'm just going to let you know the materials that you're going to need for this task. You are going to need an A4 or an A3 piece of paper. I don't mind which one you have. Whichever one is accessible for you at home, you can use. You're also going to need a grey lead. So I'm using a HB pencil. If you've got a H or a B, a HB, a 2 or a 2B, that's fine too. You can just use whatever you've got at home. You're also going to need something to colour in with. So you might use something like coloured pencils, you might use something like crayons, you might have some paint at home. If your parents are happy for you to use some paint, then that's okay too. But basically anything that you've got accessible at home that you can use to colour in is what you need to use for this task. Okay, so in this task, you're going to demonstrate your understanding of colour theory, and we're especially focusing on warm and cool colours. So before we got to this practical assessment, you would have looked through a presentation looking at colour theory, and you would have also completed a theory task that is associated with that presentation. So you should, before you get to this part where you're creating this practical artwork, you should have an understanding of what warm and cool colours are. Okay, so our warm colours are orange, red and yellow, and they appear closer to the viewer. So they appear as if they're coming towards you in an artwork. The cool colours are blue, green and purple, and they appear as if they are receding or going away from you in an artwork. Okay, so that's what we're looking at within this artwork or within this task. The difference between the warm and the cool colours and how they look within an artwork. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to use your pencil and you're going to draw your initials onto your page. So I'm just going to use really simple initials. I'm going to do T and I'm going to do C. And don't forget the little circle between the letters because they are your initials. Now you'll notice that I did my letters freehand. If you want to use a ruler, if you want to be a bit more precise, you totally can, that's fine. But just keep in mind that it does take a little bit longer with a ruler. So factor that in if you decide to go that option. Okay, so one thing that I am going to point out is my letters pretty much fill up this page, okay? They're nice and big and bold. I don't want to see any really tiny letters that are super small and intricate because it's going to make your life really hard when you're colouring in, but it's also going to make your artwork lose its effect when you finish it, okay? So nice, big, bold letters for this artwork. It's going to look a lot better and it's going to have a really good effect, all right? So keep that in mind. Now, the next thing that we're going to do after we draw those initials is we're going to put some lines through them to create some shapes that we will then colour in. So I'm just going to do my lines diagonally, and once again, I'm just going to freehand these lines. Now I'm keeping about 5 to 6 centimetres between them. I don't want to see lots of really small intricate lines, once again, like I said with the initials, because if you create a million different shapes on your page, that's a million different shapes that you need to colour in, and it's going to take you a really, really long time, and you're probably going to get pretty frustrated with it. Okay, so because we only have a few lessons to complete this task, you need to keep that in mind, and you need to make sure that your lines are pretty spaced out, still going through your initials, but just so that you're not doing too many of them. So once you do lines going one way, you need to do some lines going the other way so that you create enclosed shapes. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just going back diagonally the other way. Once again, if you would like to use a ruler for this, you can do so, but just keep in mind it might take a little bit longer once again. Okay, so now that we've completed that step, you can see that we've created these shapes within the artwork, okay? And those shapes are within the initials and they're also in the background. So that's where we're at in terms of the steps that we followed. Now the next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding some color to our artwork. But just before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of planning. Okay, so the planning that I mean is we're going to decide if we're going to use warm or cool colors within our initials, and then we're going to start writing in the initials of those warm and cool colors just to make sure that we don't have any colors that are the same next to each other. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to do warm colors within the initials. So that means that any shape that's within my T, my circle, and my C are going to be orange, red, and yellow only. Okay, so I'm only using warm colors within those initials. All right, so I'm just going to really roughly and really lightly, because we don't want this to become a feature of our artwork, but I'm just going to write down the initials of red, yellow, and orange to make sure that I'm not putting the same color next to each other. So as you can see, I've put Y for yellow here, R for red there, and O for orange there. So none of the same colors are touching. Then after red, I might decide to put down orange, and then I might decide to put down yellow, and then this tiny little bit here can be red again. Okay, so you're going to do that for all of your initials, and then you're going to do that for the background. So like I said before, because my initials are in warm colors, my background is only going to be in the cool colors, which are purple, green, and blue. Okay.